Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. Big news this morning on so many fronts. First, the report early this morning that the Israelis may, underline the word may, have taken out Sinwar, the head of Hamas. It appears that this was not a targeted operation, but rather, perhaps, simply the luck of the draw. If Sinwar is dead, the Middle East continues to be a paradox for all of us. Who replaces him? Who do we deal with in terms of hostage release? Is the death of Sinwar a good thing or a bad thing? Same thing you could ask about Nasrallah. The Israelis are determined to win this battle. That is a battle for their own survival. They intend to take out all of those who may oppose them and their right to exist. And so we are seeing now one of the most interesting developments in the Middle East. How will this affect the presidential election? It's a very good question, because if tensions escalate in the Middle East, if Iran responds, as many believe they will, particularly to the death of Sinwar following Nasrallah, well, all bets are off. I wish I could give you greater insight, but if this report is true, it has tremendous significance for the Middle East, for the presidential election, for terrorists everywhere, and for Iran, which now must decide what it will or will not do. All right, I want to leave that subject for a moment because it's all speculation, but we'll come back to it if the need develops in the next few hours. Let me talk with you now about what happened yesterday. It was very significant and did not receive the kind of coverage that it should have received. And that has to do with Kamala Harris meeting with Republicans and making a statement, a profoundly important statement, which was not covered properly, defining the differences between herself and Donald Trump. She hit Donald Trump hard on every level, without any hesitation or doubt, and essentially laid out the real issues involving the possibility of Donald Trump winning the presidential election. She posed the point that Donald Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. Now, the thing that made it important was not her rhetorical flourishes, all of which I thought were delivered very effectively. The point was that there were over 200 Republicans standing with her, identifiable figures in the Republican Party. Now, a number of you have sent me emails saying, what is the future of the Republican Party? Well, the answer is that if Donald Trump loses the election, there will have to be a restructuring of the GOP. And maybe, just maybe, among those 200 and more Republicans, there will be a chance to reclaim the Republican Party. It is a moment that should be recorded as an important moment, not only in the history of the Republican Party, but in the history of this presidential campaign. And J.D. Vance finally answered the question. He did state that he believes that the election was stolen in 2020 and that Donald Trump really won the election. It's a fascinating commentary because if, in fact, Donald Trump wins, J.D. Vance will be the vice president. And given Donald Trump's age, the odds might be that he would become president of the United States. Do you want an election denier as president? This is a serious question for the American people. And of course, who is raising doubts? None other than Donald Trump, because he is raising doubts about the integrity of our elections. I want to go a step further, and I want to talk about what's happening in Georgia. Massive voter turnout. Massive voter turnout. Why? Because I believe the anti-Trump forces are mobilized. I believe that the anti-Trump forces are ready to roll into battle, and that means turning out the voters. You know, this is a critical moment in American history. And what will determine the outcome may well be who votes and who does not vote. And if Georgia is any indication, and if in fact the observations being made by some on the ground that it is because of the overwhelming turnout by Democrats, Donald Trump is in trouble in Georgia. And what does that mean for other states of the Union? Well, we're going to see. We know that money is being spent in the swing states like crazy. Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, among the states which are up for grabs. And did I mention Pennsylvania? Yes, this is a critical moment. 19 days to go until we vote, although many of us are voting now. And the simple truth of the matter is that a lot rides on this election. As was stated yesterday by the Republicans who support Kamala Harris, they don't agree with all of her policies, but they are opposed to Donald Trump. And so, for the next 19 days, we watch, we wait, because so much is happening. On the international scene, here in the United States, and most assuredly, as we approach the election, more and more issues which are going to be raised. I am John Rothman. You are listening to Around the Political World with John Rothman, and there is so much to talk about, so much to reflect on, and we'll do it all right here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which of course is our goal. And of course you can interact with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Special thanks and appreciation to the wonderful Go-Go Zoger, who does such a great job producing this program. I am John Rothman. See you tomorrow. Who knows where we'll be tomorrow? Right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman.